Here I am, I'm back finally from my walk. Don't mind my nose, my clown nose, but it was really cold. But back to the topic, to finish our talk about this book that I had the chance to read during my walk. It actually that was the audiobook of one of his interviews of Saviano. And this is the actual physical copy of the book. And obviously, as a journalist, he devoted his story basically to storytelling. Storytelling is underestimating of his work, so I prefer to say sacrifice. Basically, he elevates himself in a place where he's exposed, so he's more in danger, and he tells the story of criminality, of criminal organizations, and of these parts of the evil in our world. So this devotion to words, to write words, communicate with words, and to convey a message through his words is really the epitome of devotion to the truth. And this is really, really inspiring, at least to me. And that's why I'm sharing this, because I really find it very inspiring just to expose all the contradiction of this world without hesitating, or, as Oscar Wilde in his preface of the picture of Dorian Gray says, he's exposing, in the literal sense, he's taking off these cover, and only the mirror and the world is left. So the world mirrors itself in this monstrous, hideous monster figure, and rejects what's in front of him, because he refuses to accept the truth. But nevertheless, this was needed. In the very first words of introduction of this transcript of video he made, it actually didn't it wasn't directly meant to be a book. And in the preface he says that we are invited ourselves, we should invite to ourselves to write, to produce, because he doesn't accept silence. And this theme of silence will be very recurrent in his work, in his next chapters and the next parts of his book. He, for example, also tells the story of this man I remember this case, it was very difficult to read, and obviously the pictures, the black and white pictures to witness, to make this book as a witness of these phenomena was very, very intense, in a sense. The first case that we see after, obviously, the sadly famous case of Giovanni Falcone was of Bacio Terracino. He was a man living in Naples, and he was coldly murdered out of a cafe in Naples. And what he emphasized about this case, which was very, very difficult to go through, it was in the very, very first pages too, so it was not easy, but the thing that he emphasizes is the lack of empathy and of touch that people had. There were two cameras, one camera inside of the bar, the cafe, and one outside on the street. So the camera on the street actually caught a scene of a man walking with his daughter, and quickly, without rushing, with no rushing, no panicking, no terror, just walking straight and avoiding the man that was on the other side of the road, over the sidewalk, already unalived, because 5 shots of gun were already, shot at him, and the last one at his face. And this was the first case of many others. Sadly, there are a lot of photographies and footage of the case, but he was not the only one. The names and the list is very long. It has gone over, he says over here, it's gone over 10,000 deaths just by the Camorra, the criminal organization, and this counted makes more than the Gaza Strip victims. So these were basically martyrs. They were killed. This man, Bacio Terracino, was a normal citizen of Naples, but he was only guilty of not giving consent to these criminals. They were basically bribing people. They used to steal and to give back to the people, in a sense, but it was not out of goods, like Robin Hood type of giving, doing favors to the people, but it was out of getting consent and getting people to shut and to basically silencing them in order to keep their criminal affairs. So this was his only crime. But sadly, there were a lot more. As I said, the pictures I will probably not be showing because it's not the case, and I don't want to trigger people, in a sense, because it's very much about violence and about this state of the world. So yeah, it's basically an invisible war. We talk a lot about human rights because they should be talked about and not censored. The case of Philistine, for example, the Israeli question in the Holy Land was the first example that I made a few minutes ago. But this is tremendous and frightening. It's happening around us, and we choose not to look, to that direction. And it's an internal conflict because I'm a student living in Italy, and I was born here by immigrant parents, but I was born here and I have the Italian citizenship, so I feel Italian and I feel like this is our problem. I know, of course, that I'm aware that I can fall into generalizing, but I'm very much aware that this is not the only reality. There are a lot of other realities of criminal organization as such. As I said, the government and society just choose to be called to live in indifference, and then they are not to be blamed. I'm very sure about this. Let me rephrase. The people, for example, they should not be blamed for it because they act out of being frightened or scared or threatened, because to associate with such matter and to associate to the people that are fighting, that are actively fighting this problem, so journalists or activists in general, they choose not to do anything. But the government or people that choose to actively go in the other direction, so to deride, it's basically laughing at this problem. This should be condemned, in my opinion. It's exactly like Oscar Wilde's preface. If you look at the realism quote, you will probably find better wording around this, because I'm not able to, maybe. And yeah, back to the topic, just making faces or laughing in this situation is unacceptable. We should at least keep dignity to the families and to the martyrs, to the deaths about this issue. And it's the only way to not avoid the topic, and not because it's very easy to, like with emotions, humans like to sweep, the bed and try not to dig into it. And also the law institutions, a lot of cases acted this way, follow this dynamic, but that we should break the cycle. This is my point. And by breaking the cycle, we choose to denounce and to expose and to make our lives in danger. I know that, but it's better. It's actually better. And I'm not the one who's saying this. He is the one who's saying this because he chose to put his life in danger, his family in danger, his whole persona. He also stayed homeless for this, to stick to his truth and to his words, because people were refusing to give him houses, give him a place to stay, a roof under which to sleep and eat, just because they didn't want to associate with any of this, because they are very much controlling, and it's like an oil stain. It just keeps expanding. It just keeps pervading the area and controlling the people. So this was his choice, and his words are about inspiring us. So he literally tells us to not choose silence. Maybe we fall into mistakes, we fall into error, but that is still better, and preferably more convenient than silence. So this was my message for today. I hope I didn't took too long, and because I'm very prolix, but yeah, this is the message for today. I'm gonna now go for my shower, and see you on the